All right, we're going to try this again. I will delete that first link because I was having some issues. So, putting together your mini junk journal ornament, whether you bought a Christmas one or one of the others, they're all going to go together the same way. This is just one idea of how to do it. You clearly do not have to do it this way, but this is the way we did ours, and we are loving it. So, in your package will be a baggie of all of your elements, like decorations, ephemera, ribbons, things like that. Why do we have that there? That's very weird. It's not pulling up my chat. So, all right, well, I don't know why it won't pull up my chat, but that's okay. So you have all of your ephemera, and then you have tags and cards, and then you will have your signatures already pre-cut, pre-folded for you. They could be anywhere from 3.5 to 4.5 inches, depending on the paper. Sometimes a design is just too awesome to cut it shorter, and so they might be a little taller. And then you will have an extra piece of cardstock for making your spine. So it might already be cut to a 2-inch width. It might not. If it is not, because I thought you might want the other paper, then just go ahead and cut it to a 2-inch, 1.5 to 2-inch wide strip, and that is what we're going to use to make your spine. Flip through your signatures to make sure that everything is where you want it. You can always rearrange. If your envelope is not pre-cut, because I only started pre-cutting them at the end, you will want to lift open your flap and cut a V out of it so that each individual, flaps can open. And then make sure all your pages are upright, because, it's easy to get one under, not in the right order or direction, because we might have somebody upside down when you're putting together a bunch. It's really easy to not notice a page is flipped. So you'll have 3 or 4 pages in each signature, more folios, and that will make 6 or 8 pages. You can always add more papers if you want them thicker, but don't make them too thick because you want these to be able to hang. So just double check each one. That is all upright and ready to go. Now, this one, as you'll see, is upside down because the other side is upright. It was a book that the pages turned this way. It was an old mid-century Christmas card list. So one page will be upside down. So what we'll do is obviously the center, I want to make sure that's upright. And on this one, I'll put a pocket, or I'll put a trim, or I'll put something over that. So if you have one of those, yes, it's upside down on one side. We get that. So what I'm going to be doing is hand sewing each signature into this cardstock spine. So the first thing I want to do is cut a small strip of cardstock to go right down that center, just a 1/4 of an inch wide to go between my signatures. So when I put my grommet in, it is going to stay. And I will use score tape for this because we want this to be very strong. So I'm going to put some score tape on this. This is going to be able to hold my grommet. That is what is important to me. Whoops, don't touch down before I'm ready for you to. So I'm just going to score tape that right in the middle. Now, if you have something that's directional, make sure you're not putting it upside down. I speak from experience. And he's just going to go right down my center, and my signatures are going to attach on either side of him. You can also do this after. The first few I did that after I put the signatures in, but I just found that it was easier to do it this way. Grab yourself some paper clips, and I'm going to open up my signature. If things are not the full size, like images from a magazine or a cookbook, I'm going to center them where I want them, and I'm going to just lay him in here. So he is to one side of that, and then I'm just going to clip him right into place. And I will go back and check everything when I am done and make sure everybody's where I want him. Because when you're pushing those paper clips on, you can move the pages clearly. And as you can see, I already pushed him down too far. So he is there, and then I'm just going to pop my holes through there with an awl or a pokey tool of some sort. Now I do have a book binding tool, and so I do have a book awl from We Are Memory Keepers. If you don't have one, even a pokey tool from the Dollar Tree will work. Anything will work. This is not a lot of pages, and you can just measure out and make dots where you want them. If you don't have a tool, just take your ruler and like every 1.5 inches, and you just need 3 or 4 holes depending on how you like to sew your spines. You could sew this by hand, but I gave you the vintage string because we just thought this vintage string was so cool. The first ones I made of these were all either Christmas or outdoor camping themed. And so the green went great. We just had this lovely spool of vintage string and we really wanted to use it. So if you don't like that color or you don't want to use that, you can trade it out with any heavy duty thread, a button thread, a quilting thread, any kind of a waxed linen cord, or just anything along those lines. So I am going to place him here. If you do have a bookbinding tool, you just place him in the groove so your fold is in place and you clip your top back on, and then you decide which set of holes you want to use. The thing with this is with a small signature like this, it can shift, so you just have to be a little careful. Sometimes I think it's easier to just do them by hand because these are really little, but I do want to show you options. Lost my other screw. There he is. So just screwing him in place. And then I can see he's a little crooked, so I'm going to try to just straighten him up in there. I got to loosen them a little to do that. Okay. And if they're a little bit off, it is not the end of the world. And I can kind of look under here and see, yep, I'm a little crooked. Okay. And then I'm just going to choose which holes I'm going to do. And I do want them to be even. And I'm just going to pop them out of there. And my holes are punched. You can see them on the other side. So I did 4 because I'm going to do a 3-stitch. If you want to do more or less, that is completely up to you. I'm going to come from the outside and bring my needle and thread through. And I'm going to leave a few inches and I'm just going to hold him until I'm done. So I'm holding him in the back. I'm going to come in and go back out through my next stitch, my next hole. And if you could sew a children's sewing card, you can do this. You don't have to be a seamstress. Now, if you don't want to do this, like I said, you could machine sew it. You could long arm staple it, but it wouldn't look as nice on your exterior spine. Sewing is the way to go for book signatures, really. So learn a basic stitch. So you can see I went up, down, up, down. I've got my space in the middle. Now I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to go back in that hole there because I do want this to be a solid stitch when I'm done. And same here, I'm going to close that gap by going down that same hole. And then last, I'm going to come up to here. So here is this hole. I'm going to bring my string all the way up. And this is where I'm going to tie this one. And I'm leaving these so I can put a little dangle on here. Whether I want to put a little hard embellishment, like a little miniature Christmas bulb or ball, or a candy cane, or whether I want to just tie some fluff of a tassel. Whatever I want to put on here, I can do that if I keep him in place up here. And I am going to finish that into a square knot. And cut the other tail off, leaving a bit of length. So now I can tie something on there if I so desire. And there is my stitch, 3 long stitches inside and out. Okay. Now I'm going to fold this guy down and close him. And I'm going to bring in my next signature, making sure he's right side up. And I'm going to put him right there. Now, he probably should have been just a hair closer to that, but it is not a big deal. It is not a critical thing. I would have liked him a little bit closer, but when I scooched him around in there, I shifted him. I just have to be careful where I put my grommet and making sure it's in the doubled area. And then I'm going to straighten these guys up and clip them in place. Whoops, I'm going to flip him and just kind of make sure I like where I'm at. And I left him there accidentally. Let me move him over. Clipping everybody together. The clips that I clipped the first signature down with, I'm now going to encompass both signatures so everybody stays in place. Make sure he looks good. Make sure he looks straight to me. And then I'm going to do the same thing. We're going to clip him down in here. And like I said, if you don't have a bookbinding tool, you could literally just lay him down over a cutting mat or over a piece of foam core or a piece of corrugated cardboard so that when you're punching in, you're going into something. Corrugated cardboard works great for that if you don't have a piece of foam core. And now I'm going to come in and do the same holes I did last time. And take him right back out of here. And like I said, if I didn't have this, I didn't have this the first few times I did this. And I'm not always certain that it's actually easier. It does make them neater, I will say, because I am not a precise person. So it definitely does make them neater. And now here is for my second set. So this one, I'm going to start from the inside because I want to leave some strings dangling on the inside so I can tie a charm. Now, you don't have to. You don't have to leave any ends when you're done. So again, I'm going to hold him and I'm going to come back up my next hole and down my next one. So yes, I'm leaving those gaps. That's how I come back up with my string. And now going back down the page where I had come through before, the hole where I had come through before, so that I'm closing my gaps in my stitches. Gotta make sure I'm holding him because when I'm coming back through that same hole, it can want to pull. And now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to bring him up to the very top and tie him off. Being careful to hold him tight. And then I'm going to cut this to hang on the inside. So this time I can tie a little charm in there. So now I have my two signatures sewn together. And then I want to come and just put my finger between them. And I want to fold my outer piece just to the outside of the stitching, not to the inside, so that my stitching is on my spine. And then the same thing right here. And just folding it by folding the signatures down that way, so that when I adhere these, I still have my stitching. Now, like I said, that one was a little far away. He probably should have been in a little closer, but it's not a big deal. And then I'm going to take score tape or adhesive and run it along here. And then just set him on there. And then do the same on this one. So now I have, oops, let's turn them right side up. My signatures. I have my little strings hanging here. I have my sewn signatures. And because I left this one a little too wide, I could easily sew a third signature in there, but he'd be really chunky. So I'm not going to do that. Now, here where I have my secondary strip, I'm going to come in and punch a small hole for my grommet. And I don't want to be too close to the end. So I have, with my very small end, I have punched a hole there. I just tossed my grommet in here. Now, of course, I'm not going to be able to find him. So let me just grab another one out. No big deal. Let's do a black. And from the outside, I'm going to pop my grommet in. And set him. Now, you don't have to do a grommet. It just, if you're going to use it as an ornament, it just will make it so much stronger. Now I'm going to pick up all of those paper clips. Let me put up my extra twine. Otherwise, I will lose my needle. I've lost it a few times in the last few days. Okay, so I've got my mini junk journal. Now, I'm going to open up my embellishments and take them out here. Let's get a little tray to put everybody in. I'm going to take a piece of my twine. Let's see, how long is that? About 10 inches long. And I am going to put him through my grommet. And he is going to be my loop to hang him. So people have shared lots of great ideas. Whoops, almost pulled him all the way through on ideas for these. They were originally meant to be ornaments, and they are a darling ornament. And this way you could hang them on a branch of a tree. Or my thought was hang them on the stocking hanger hook, extra goodies. And then someone said, you could just make that be a whole gift, wrap it up, be a gift card holder. Like they're like, we'll pay $3 for a gift card holder, $6 easily for a greeting card. Instead, we can make this. And once you have the tie closure on it, tuck a gift card right in there after you've decorated it. We have another gal who bought a bunch of them and then bought a bunch of our Christmas puzzle tags. And she is going to give everybody a kit and a couple of Christmas puzzle tags, all of her crafty friends. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's a darling idea. So anyway, this would make it be a hanger. Hang it on your stocking hook, hanging it on your tree. If you don't want to do that, don't. If you just want to use it as a little mini junk journal, it will be a fully functional junk journal. So I've got all my trims in here now. In addition, I've got like my doilies and my stickers and things that went, little embellishments, words, all the different things I might want to use in here. So these are pre-punched like to be a banner, but we've been cutting them a little shorter and using them as little fun tuck pockets. Then I'm going to open up my tags and cards, and you will have playing cards to alter. You will have pre-made tags. You will have little folded note cards, whatever happened to go with the theme. So in this kit, I have, this is a small card and envelope. So I will mount the envelope on the page and tuck the card in hanging out. And we'll make a fun little page. I've got this little gift tag. I've got some pre-made vintage styles. I've got some greeting cards, just fun different things. A vintage flashcard. Ooh, this is a vintage flocked gift tag. And again, flashcards. So those will become my tucks, my journaling cards. And then I'm just going to go through and look at what do I want to do? How do I want to decorate this? And one of the things that a lot of the kits will have is pieces of bulletin board border. These make great pockets or belly bands in these because they're so small. Even in your bigger junk journals, size of a page, a really fun pocket, pre-made, or a really fun belly band. You can stick stuff behind it, and it's just fun. So I'm going to look. Maybe I'm going to just do him right here because look at how cute that would be. Whichever way I wanted to put it, that would just be a darling pocket. Let me see which signature. Oh, I think I want to use it on the black and white signature. I think it would pop a little more. And I'm going to trim him so he's a little more candy cane. Let's see, which way do we want to go? I think I'm going to go that way. So I am going to just trim him right there. And then I'll come back and at the peak of my loop there, we'll trim him again. Looks like oh no, it's there. I thought I had to take a hair more off. And now, so I was looking for my smaller score tape and I remember I took it in the other room last night. Last night we had a gal who did local pickup from our Whatnot show and she lives locally. And we have been telling her, do porch pickup. We don't need to ship it. You're 5 miles away. Just come pick it up and we get to meet you. And she did. She came by to pick it up. We sat and talked for an hour and a half. We are going to get together and do some crafting. We were so excited. Ida, if you're watching, so excited to have met you. We had so much fun. In fact, I went and got my phone so I could get her pickup code. And we sat and talked for so long. And sister was grabbing stuff and giving her some of the supplies we love. We never even got her pickup codes. Now I got to reach out to her and get her pickup code because it was just so much fun getting to meet her. We can't wait to get together and craft with her. Anyway, that was just a little note aside. But what was my point? I don't even remember now why I brought that up. I was going to say something, but so my score tape, I was showing her what score tape was. It is sitting in the other room, my skinnier. So I just had to use a little bit bigger one and that's okay. So this is a bigger pocket. I'm going to take my big math flashcard and put him in here. I'm going to come back later and embellish him, but I know that I want that there. So with these, because they're so small, I kind of go through and see who I want where. This little banner piece, if you've got one of those, and again, it just depends on what went with your kit, with your papers. I just cut him a little shorter. Actually, I'm going to go even a little shorter, so that he's more a pocket size. And I think I'm going to put him on one of these other covers, maybe the back of this one. Yeah, and he's just going to go there and become a pocket. So I have to get my skinnier score tape to do him. So when sister comes through, I'm going to have her grab it. So then I'm looking at like, okay, what else do I want to do? I had my extra cardstock still, so I want to use some of it. Make belly bands. Maybe I'm going to put a belly band on him. So I just cut a strip of that one so I could turn that one into a belly band. Ribbons make really good belly bands too, your heavier ribbons and embellishments. So he is going to go there. So score tape, anything that is a hinge or is going to have stuff in it, behind it, be manipulated in any way, we will use score tape. Our tape runner, we don't feel is strong enough to do that. So we love our score tape. And this is no affiliation. We don't get anything. We just are going to always tell you the brands of the things that we love. So score tape to us for a junk journal is a must because you're going to be opening and closing things and you want your adhesion to hold up. So now I have a belly band there. I think I'll stick one of my Coke Santa cards. And I will come in later and I will alter these. I will put antique paper on here and maybe a stamp or two. Some of you in your kits got some of our vintage Christmas colored postage stamps. If they kind of went with your theme or colors, or you needed extra littles, we would put some of those in there. These are from our dad's stamp collection. And so we've got a few of those in here, reds and greens. I might like take one of him, and he's not Christmas, but he's green and he's fun and he's vintage. And I might just, yeah, in fact, I'm just going to stick him right on there as a little embellishment, because that's what junk journals have, right? All this other junk paper or vintage paper. So he's just going right on there. And when I alter cards, I will use pieces of antique ledger or whatever on here, vintage wrapping paper, and tear it back. And sometimes I want just the paper to journal on, and then I'll just add like a little stamp or something in the corner to have an embellishment. Other times I'll put a printed paper on the back. Just depends on what I want to do with it. My antique papers, I don't do anything to them. I love them. Okay, this guy is a lift up flap. I think I'm going to stick my little Merry Christmas jar in there. And he already had a ribbon on him, so he is staying just the way he is. And on this side, I'm going to want to embellish. So maybe I'll put joy here. I like my joy word. And again, you will have embellishments that we felt were suitable for your paper line. Clearly, if you want to add other things you have, I'm sure we all have Christmas crafting stuff, but there's enough stuff in here that you actually don't need to add anything unless you want to. So we're just putting joy there, and I want to put him at a little bit of an angle because he's cute. And then I've got the back of that recipe here. I'm not touching that recipe. I think it's beautiful. And on the back of this side, this is my other envelope. On the back of this side, I think I'm going to come in with one of my doilies. And I'm going to put maybe 2/3 of him on there. And save that other third because I will use it. And glue stick in the center, but be careful when you're doing glue stick on your doily because it will come right through the little perfs, and then you have little purple doobie dots all over the front of it. So you just got to be careful when you're putting it in to get those wiped off, okay? See how they leave behind so much glue? You don't even feel like you're putting that much glue on, and yet there's so much left behind. And then we're just going to flatten him into place. And I think I'm going to put another like little sticker or somebody over him. Let's see, who do I have that I want to use? Hello. I've got the black hello, so I'm going to just drag him through that extra glue. Get him on there. And we're just going to put our black hello there. There he is. Then again, we have a pocket to put somebody in. And I've got my fun green playing card, and it just has the bridge. What is it? American Contract Bridge Legacy? No, I can't quite read that. Man, my eyes are bad. League. American Contract Bridge League, but it's just a beautiful green. So I'm going to take one of my stickers and just put her right over the center there. And that just looks darling. And again, I'll come in later and I will alter that card. But meanwhile, she's going to go in there. Now, this is an antique ledger paper. Again, I don't want to do anything to that, but because I have this flap here, I'm like, oh, that's a good place to put something. Maybe I want a piece of ruffled lace edge. I think I do. Okay, I'm going to have to go grab that smaller score tape from the living room. Sorry for that. I just really need my smaller score tape. So again, score tape is a staple for us. And that is often what I will use to hold trims onto paper, because the antique paper, I don't want to put wet glue on it. So my art glitter glue is like, I can't live without it, but I won't use it on antique paper. I don't want any kind of a wet adhesive. So just some score tape. And again, score tape comes in a million sizes. When we do classes, we always tell you in your class list, you need to have some score tape, at least 1/4 or 1/8 inch, and then a bigger size. We have all the sizes up to full sheets, but 4, 5, 6 inch. And it's an expensive investment initially, but it lasts a long time. You're not going to use a ton of it if you have all the sizes. Because if you need to do like a 1-inch section and all you have is the 1/4 inch, you're having to do multiple strips, which is fine, but it's definitely worth investing in some of the bigger sizes. So now my page just has a fun little ruffled edge. It just adds a little something. I like to add. So I've got this fun sticker here. I'm going to put him right down on that envelope. And then I've got my playing card in there that I'll come back and fix later. Whoops. All right. This guy, a lot of times when I have a fold over, I will just clip something in there. So I love this vintage flocked gift tag. I'm just going to flip him in there and use paper clip. Now, Sister sat, and we usually do the bottle cap paper clips if you've taken classes with us, but those would be too big. So she made a bunch of little paper clips with buttons. So eventually I will take a small circle of paper and glue it on the back. I'm not going to do that for the purpose of the video because it takes time to soften. But if you cut a small circle and you put your liquid glue, like your art glitter or your Nuvo glue, down on it, then leave it for about 15 seconds, the paper starts to soften, and then you can sit it on the back and kind of mold it with your thumbs, and it'll mold right around that paper clip and cover the glue area. So it's just a little extra tag right there. And then this is where I was going to put him. I went and got my smaller score tape now, so I can put him in place. So the V is going to be my opening. So I am just going to put score tape on the other 3 sides. And he is just going to go right on there and make a fun little pocket. I have a vintage math flashcard, blue on one side, green on the other. I will cover that with cardstock for journaling, like a lined cardstock. But I just like the plain vintage green look. So in this first signature, we have a belly band here with a playing card we can alter, a vintage wrapping paper, antique ledger, fun little pocket with a tag. Now I will come back and embellish more, but I like to get the big parts in first and then see what I have left. All our fun images, just decor, another pocket, a little fold over, another vintage tag, and a vintage flashcard. So there is the bulk of my first signature. Second signature, I've got my fun vintage, not vintage, I've got my fun Christmas colored math flashcard in there. I've got my plain paper, and it has a fun fold out. I've got my antique paper. This one's from 1915. My vintage pages. So trying to pick where I'm going to put things. The back of this would be suitable. The back of this. Now, if you don't mind covering some of your vintage papers, by all means do so. We don't like to do that. We want to keep those. So I've got my envelope here. He doesn't quite fit there. So he's going to get mounted on the back of this. Now I could ink him if I wanted to. I think I have a little ink left on my brush. So I have a little pink, light red. It is my red, but it's going to look a little pinkish because I just have a little of it here. But it's going to just tint it a little. And then I'll just put him in. And I'm just going to mount him right down toward the bottom of that page. And put the card back right in him and leave the top out. So I've got a little interactive, and I'll end up coming back and putting trim across here. So here we are in this signature so far. We have our little pocket there. We have our little card here, okay? Now I want to cover the bottom of the Christmas list there. Just so happens I have another fun little vintage Christmas tag, so I'm going to put him right there and just cover that up. He does have a little sticky strip on the back, but that's not going to be enough, and it's not very sticky anymore because it's old. And we are just going to put him right in there just as a fun embellishment. And then on the back, I might do a ribbon pocket this time. Make a small pocket out of a piece of my trim. So I'm just going to cut a piece of him. And again, we are going to use score tape to hold him because score tape is my friend. And we buy ours on Amazon. We've not found a better price anywhere else other than when we get it from our good friend Michelle, who owns the scrapbooking store. But we have not gone up in a while. But when we go, we stock up from her, and she carries all the sizes, and that's from 3 Craft Chicks. And they do have an online store, 3craftchicks.com. If you happen to be in the Spokane, Washington area, she has a store in Airway Heights. And they are just amazing. All right, and he is a little long. I got to go in and trim him, and I went a little crooked, so not going to be able to fix him much, but where I didn't press him down, I might be able to straighten him just a hair. Not very much, though, because I don't want to damage my vintage paper. Okay. Just going to cut off that extra edge where I ran over. Okay. And I have a little pocket there. I'm going to take one of my tuck cards and tuck him right in there. All right. And let's see. I think right under this one, I'm going to put one of my fun little cards here and use my other paper clip that was holding my stuff together. Where did I put him? And just put him on there, and I'll come in and tie some ribbons and trims on him later and make a fun little paper clip. And then I have my inside back cover, and I want to put one more pocket, and I have not yet done an angled pocket, so let's do that. I kind of like to make sure I'm varying what I put in here. So I just cut a piece of my paper, my cardstock, at an angle, and I'm going to make a fun little corner pocket there. And again, I'm going to attach him with score tape. And just lining him up. Put my other Coke Santa card right in him, and maybe my Merry Christmas pre-printed tag. Okay, then I'm going to go back. I have 2 tags left I didn't use, so I'm going to go back and see where I might want to add them. So maybe I might just do him right here. He's just a little gift tag card. And I can just mount him right there and let him be like, open and close. An extra little journaling spot inside. I don't anticipate that many people are actually going to journal in these mini. Put the memories of the 1 year's holiday, a few pictures and a few did. So we're going to put him there. And then I have the other tag, and I will add her inside the front here so that it has 2 tags. So now I've got tags, flips, flaps, fold outs, all the different things. If I wanted to, some of them I've taken an extra piece of my cardstock and made an extra fold. So we ended up with an extra space in there. Just kind of depends. Now we're going to go through and embellish. So I still have doily to use. I have just some fun things that I want to make sure I get in here. The bigger doilies, if they were real big, we went ahead and cut them in half before we even bagged them so they would fit, because you're not going to be able to use a full big size one in here. I think I'm going to attach this to the end here so it makes that flap a little bigger. So I'm just going to come in and be really careful when you're using tape runner on your vintage paper. Go really slow. Make sure you're not pulling up your surface because that happens. Okay. And I'm just going to set it down along that back. So my page is just a little wider, and where the one point stuck past a little, I'm just going to cut that off. There we go. And that just makes that page even a little more decorative. Let's get you out of the way. And it's just fun. And then I could put a piece of ribbon across here if I wanted to. That has the gold on it. So maybe I want to bring a little bit of my gold ribbon. Oh, yes. Okay. So again, with the score tape to attach my ribbon, because that's all it takes. Boy, that piece, I'm going to put something heavy there so that doesn't flip closed on me every time I'm working, so you guys don't have an obstructed view. And again, you're going to determine how you want to decorate yours, but this is just to give some of you some ideas if you're not sure where to even start with this. And then I'm going to make sure I have my shiny side up, and I'm just going to attach him along there. And then cutting off my excess and cutting that little angled piece off. Okay, and that's just a little fun embellishment. So far we have our belly band. Let's put some trim on this one. Let's see, I'm going to use a piece of my green satin through him. Love to have things sticking up out of the book, right? We want it as big and chunky and fun as we can. So I'm going to get some green satin on that. I'm not going to put a ribbon in him yet because I know I want to alter him. If you don't want to alter him and leave him the way he is, go ahead and throw a ribbon in him too, because sure, why not? I've got lots of stickers and things still to use, so I want to go through and embellish, embellish, embellish. The idea is to have them full of fun. Okay, on this guy, I think I'm going to put my black doily, and again, I'm going to use about 2/3 of him. And probably, do I want him coming from the side or from the bottom? I think from the bottom this time. Now I happen to have a scrap here from a backing, so I'm going to do my gluing on that so that I don't get those little dots all over my paper. And that can stay behind on him. And he will come up here from the bottom. And let me tell you guys, I was watching a creator a couple of years ago, and she was using glue stick. And I was like, why are you not using a better glue? And then there were certain things that we found with the vintage paper glue stick works great for. We've tried all the brands. This is the brand we love. It is worth it. It's a little bit more money, a little bit more than your cheaper brands, but it holds so much better. It is the Scotch Purple. And we ordered that on Amazon too. Okay, and hello, whoever is watching with me. My chat is not working. It says something went wrong and did not open my chat, so I can't see who is here with me. But thanks for giving a watch. I think I want to add a little piece of trim on the flap too. Maybe, yes, just a small piece of my ruffle to make that envelope a little more fun because I can and I want to. So again, with the 1/8 inch score, I was going to record this and then just put it up, but I thought, I might as well do it live. Why not? And then I wanted to put something over the bottom. Jolly Christmas. Yep. So again, each kit will have completely different embellishments because it's whatever we felt worked with it. And if you don't see something that you would like and you have it in your stash, add it in. But there's plenty in there to decorate with. So we already did the joy here. I'm leaving the recipe page alone. That 50s cookbook was so cool. We've got our fun little embellishment there. And I don't want to do like same. So let's see, I've got sheer ribbons, I've got lace. So this lace, if you've got this one in your kit, is an elastic lace. And I thought about even making some closure out of that so that rather than the ribbon tie ones, but I'm just not certain yet. Okay, where was I? I actually want to do something up here. December Memories is too big, but I am going to use December Memories on this page. So I've got December Memories there. Still want something for him. Not sure what that is. Pardon my hand in your way here. Jolly Days. Yeah, I can do Jolly Days. Bless you, sister. You're fine. I can do Jolly Days on there. Just a fun little word tag. December Memories. We've got our vintage tag here. I don't want to do anything else to him. I do want to decorate this guy. I have this fun chipboard sticker of an ornament. Oh, he can go right on there. And this is just, I randomly pulled one of the kits out of the sale kits. I, didn't pick anything special. So this is just one of the standard kits. So you're getting an idea of the types of things that will come in them. They will all be different. Okay, here I've just got my Christmas math card. You can see it's just called Math Stacks. Can I fit? Yes. So I've got a Merry Christmas sticker here. And I'm just going to add him to the bottom. Just to turn him Christmassy. And then just leave him in there. You know what? He's going to be under the band. Maybe I want to add him to the top instead and then put my ribbon. So I'm going to see if I can peel him up. I should have thought that one through. I can because this card is nice and plasticky and I haven't rubbed him down. There. So I've got him at the top. Merry Christmas. And I'm going to punch a smaller hole. And I like the fact that this paper has a black in it. It's just something different than the standard bright Christmas. And I am going to use a black ribbon on here because of the black lettering. I loved that we found a math flashcard that was red. We love to use flashcards, bingo cards, all of that kind of stuff. So to find one that had red and green on it was exciting for us to be able to use in our Christmas stuff. There. Now he just says Merry Christmas. All right, this vintage paper, I have a little tag here that would fit just great. And I think if I flip him that way, he's kind of like the opposite border. So I want to do that. Now, if I had more things I wanted to put, I could turn him into a pocket instead. That would work also. Let's see. I've still got so many embellishments. I'm not sure what to use. And so many ribbons and trims. All right, I'm just going to put a fun little red ribbon down here. And again, adding trims to the edges of your pages, even if you want to leave your pages blank, is a great way to just add a more vintage and fun look and get some more of your vintage elements in there. And look at how that changes the look of that paper. Just added a little ribbon, elegant satin ribbon trim, and it changes the whole look. It's like becomes a different thing altogether. Okay, on the back of this guy, I know I want to add trim on him. Who do I want to use? Not you. Oh, maybe some of my flat lace. Yeah, I can just do a fun little piece of flat lace and across that one. And again, it just adds something. It just takes it to the next level when you start adding in those trims. Down a little bit there. I got to get him straighter. There we go. And there's more trim in your kit than you will probably use in your book. But again, it's an individual item. We want you to have options. Okay, center page. This guy sits open. So when I have a page that's going to be like that, I usually will put trims on those pages, because if it falls open, that's where it's going to fall open to, and you're going to see it. And so you want those pages to stand out. That's why I chose to put the vintage Christmas card list right in the center, because I just think he's fun. He's a throwback. First of all, very few people still send Christmas cards anymore. Second of all, even if you do, you probably don't have one of those old-fashioned Christmas card list books. They are fun. They were very much a 60s, 70s thing, maybe even 50s. This one I think was 60s or 70s. And they're just a fun throwback. And so you'll notice in your kits, you have a big mixture of types of paper. You have modern scrapbooking paper, you have antique ledger sheets, you have vintage pages. And that to us is what makes a junk journal. Like, you should have a mix of all of the things, just all the papers, all different types. And again, hello, whoever joined in. Glad you're watching. Now that page sitting open, I'm going to have some little candy canes hanging here. Is just got that red ribbon edge, and it just brings it to another level. And sorry, I've got so much stuff in here now you can't even see the book because of all my clutter. I like, whoops, I pulled my tag right out. I like having my stuff here so I can see what it is that I have to choose from. But I do box myself in all the time. Okay, I've still got this little fun chipboard Santa, and I think it would be fun if he was peeking out the top a little bit. So I'm going to make sure I put a pocket somewhere or a band where he can sit up high, however I decide to use him, so that he's kind of peeking out. Oh man, I put that there already, so I can't, but I would love for him to show. I just think he would be fun peeking out of the book. Should have thought of that sooner. I could, but that would be too high. Yeah, I'm going to actually put a little strip right here to hold him up and in there. And that's kind of an unusual way to do it, coming in after the fact, but I didn't think about it earlier, and I want him in, so I'm going to do it. So I'm going to add a piece of ribbon trim above this pocket, but I'm not going to close the bottom. I'm just going to put him like a belly band, but an up-high belly band, if you will, because I would love to be able to just pop my Santa out of the top of the book. So I put some score tape on his ends. And I am just putting him on there, like so. Whoops. did not press that down and it moved. Gosh darn it. I was still trying to get it right. There we go. And then I can tuck him in there and keep him as close out of the book as I want so that I have our little Santa popping out there. So now I'm going to slide her that way so she doesn't cover him. I love that. He's just going to pop out of the top of the book for fun. Okay, so let's go back to the beginning and see where else I need to add. I've got my tags here. I just put a little edging on that. Excuse me. Antique paper. Thank you, sister. Our little fold out. Our fun little Santa popping out. And then when we open him, we've got another tag in here. Because sure, why not? I love that Santa. Our vintage recipe page, not touching it. Embellished pages here. Other pocket here. We already altered that card just a bit to turn him Christmassy. Antique paper that we just backed and put a little trim on. Vintage tag, and I do want to add a ribbon to him. I'm just going to add some very skinny white satin. He has a little hole here that just needs to be popped out. He's already punched, just not all the way through. These are the way these came. Got a little discoloration on there, but he's old. That's from the flocking, the oils and stuff that was in that. And I am fine with that because it's a fun vintage piece, and you can just tell that he's older. The more patina and stuff on paper, the happier we are with it. So we will not cover that up. Some people would have covered that up with another piece of cardstock on the back. That's fine. If you don't like that look, we love it. He's going to go back into that paper clip there. And then this guy. Okay. This guy is just going to get some Christmas verbiage. Season's greetings can go right on him across the bottom. And maybe a fun little image up here. Let's do this little Christmas tree sticker just up in the corner. And then we're going to put a trim on him. So many good options. I'm going to use my green tinsel-y one. This metallic eyelash just reminds me of garland or tinsel. And so I'm like, I put that in as many kits as I could because I just think it's so much fun. But if it didn't go at all with the theme, I didn't put it in. If I felt I could get away with it, I put it in. Because it's tinsel-y and it reminds me of old-fashioned Christmas. Okay, now we're on to our second signature. We've already decorated him. I do have a pocket here, not a pocket, a banner here, and I want to add some words to that. So let me see, who do I want to add on that one? The prettiest sight to see. Let's get him in there. I've just got my little fold out here. I want to decorate back here. Let's see, I've got this fun vintage die cut. I think I'll throw him up there. Not vintage, vintage style die cut. He is not a vintage piece. He's just going to decorate there. I've already got him done. We are good there. Oh, love, love, love. Now I might want to add, since I have fun images, just an image on here. Maybe a Santa sticker. Still leaving enough room to write, journal, whatever anybody wants to do on their page. Let's see. Here's another tag. I want to add trim to him. I think I'll use that fun green satin again. And again, you have way more in here than you probably want to put in your book, but I wanted you to have options. There we go. He can go right back in there. All right, I think I want to use some more vintage stamps here. Who do I want to put them with? Maybe the edge of my black doily. No. Oh, I have this little guy. I had just this little die cut. I'm going to put him there and put the stamps on him. Because, again, clustering is always better than single items. So I can put the little die cut there and then do my vintage stamps. Bless you. We're all just a sneezing up in here. And I'll cluster my two stamps together and put them right over that edge of him with the candy cane and just make a fun little decorative cluster. All right, this guy also needs a ribbon and he has a punch, just the piece is still in there. Let's see, who else do I need color-wise out the top? Maybe the gold. I still have some of that gold satin. And then a paper clip. So this one has some brown faux. Oh, here we go. The greenish gold organza. We're going to put him on here and just tie him. So there's a nice little tuft coming out the top. And I need to use him elsewhere in the book. He is so pretty. Just tying him up on the top of the ribbon, up top of the paper clip. And then we're going to cut these edges at a nice angle. And so now our paper clip adds fun embellishment out the top too. And then this guy, I don't like the way those are looped through, so I will redo him. These were just Christmas tags and they came with already a ribbon on them, but I will double them and push him through. So instead of a loop, we have more of a tuft at the top. And he will go in like that so that he looks a little nicer. And then our Christmas card, same thing. If you're going to alter the back, I can do that later because I don't fully cover it. I do part of it with my antique papers. So I can go ahead and put his ribbon on. Not him because he's on the other one. Maybe I'm going to use a piece of this satin, and these thicker satins I don't double and put through. I put them through singly and then tie a knot. So they're more like ends of a bow or such. And they're just, whoops, get back through there. So he will just have that guy on him. And as you can see, he is getting stuffed. He's fun. Whoops, don't put trash in there. I still have a few things I really kind of wanted to use. And I've got a ton of trims I didn't use, but that's okay. I'm just going to see like if I can, actually sometimes you have to look to find a place to be able to put something. I guess under here I could definitely put something so that if I take my little note card out, I still have something on here. And I think I would like to get a little more of this trim in. So I'm just going to embellish that envelope with a piece of that trim. Certainly it is not a necessity, but because I like to have a lot of stuff, I'm going to. The more texture and different things in here you have to look at, the more appealing it is to the eye. To a point. Then you also can cross that line to a point where it gets too busy. But that's harder to do in a junk journal because it's supposed to be full of stuff. So got that ribbon just behind there, got the lace on the top. I am going to add another little sticker up here. It might be overkill, but I really want some of these decor items in here. And I think I've added just about all I can. So I do have quite a few little extra pieces I'm not using. I'm okay with that. And we have a couple of options for my closure. Some of the books will have less in the way of options, just depending on what went with. Sorry, I got some things stuck into my score tape here. Just when I get all those extra trims away. I definitely could have done with less trim, but again, we had the options and somebody else may have chosen to use a different type. So let me move some of that stuff out of the way. Just so we're a little bit neater here. Okay. So as far as what we have left, Sister's serenading us. I guess we could have put Christmas music on. I didn't even think about it. But now that way you can hear me okay. And you can hear Sister singing. She's singing for him, Sister. So you have your twine. That will work as a wrap closure. So wrapped and then back around to tie is an option. And all of you have some sort of twine. It might be a different color. It might be the more red, might be the more ivory, depending on your paper. And then he would just work great. And now we can also embellish on the cover if we wanted to. If you had a doily left or a part of a doily, ooh, I might add him. You know how I was saying I want more embellishments. Okay, I'm going to add that doily to my cover because I can. I have it left and I love a doily. Now, being on the cover, you want to make sure he is well adhered because your cover is going to get more wear and tear than any other part of your book. And it's going to look super purple when I put it on because a lot of that glue comes through and he is a white doily. So, but I want him well adhered. That purple will dry clear and it will ensure I have a good adhesion. Fold that guy over because he's got way too much glue on him. And then I could add, let's see how he looks. I'm not going to let him touch down. Yep, actually I am going to let him touch down. Wishing you Christmas cheer and a happy new year. So boy, if that's going to a gift for somebody or as a gift card holder, you've already got a greeting right there. Again, I told you earlier, I love the black. So I'm doing that. And then if I'm going to use this, I will put a knot in the ends so that it doesn't unravel like that. And then I'll hold it here, wrap it once, and come back around. Need to hold it a little bit longer. Here we go. And come back around, and then I would tie him. And if I was doing, like I said, a gift card or something else, I could tuck it right in the twine here. Like that. And then I could hang it on the tree, hang it on the stocking hook. If I'm not going to hang something on here, but I am going to when we're done, but I'm not going to, I could cut that shorter. Okay. The other option in some of your books, you have a fatter ribbon. Didn't have all the colors that would have worked for everybody. But if I had one that would work with your kit, you can use your big satin ribbon for a tie closure. And tie a big bow. Whoops. If you don't have glue all over your fingers so your ribbon doesn't stick to you, it is wanting to stick to the glue stick on my hand. Now I didn't have him quite centered when I tied him, but you get the idea. So you can have a closure like that. Actually, let's just retie him so he's more even, because it'll drive me crazy looking lopsided like that. Gotta flip my loop so my satin is to the outside. There we go, much better. So I could do a ribbon tie like that. Come on, get where I need you. There we go. And then he can still hang, and I can tuck a gift card in him. I can adjust my Santa to be peeking out. I've got all my goodies. Now, if I want to make something on here, I can use my leftover fibers and make a little tassel. I can tie a little hard charm on there. I can just do pretty much whatever I want. And I happen to have lots of leftover fibers. So I can just make a little fiber bundle and then trim him off. So many ways to do a little embellishment on there. Any kind of a charm on a jump ring. Hobby Lobby and their Christmas stuff sells little mini balls and bulbs, and I'll show you some of those that I did on some of them. Come on, get in there. Okay. So I've got him I can tie on, and then I can just cut some of these shorter. And I just made a tassel out of the same trims that I used inside. And I can just literally tie him on so that he hangs and is a little tassel on there. Now, if I do that, I would probably come in and split him so he is not as wide and make more pieces out of him. Well, in fact, let's just do that since we're talking about it, so that our pieces are skinnier. There we go. And then I would just tie him on. So let's do that. Just so you can get the idea. And then there he is, just dangling on the outside of the book. So that's just one of many ideas of what you could do. And we will call it a day. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you come up with some great ideas. Share pictures. We love that. We like to see what you do.